Well, welcome to the class today. We will be learning how to create a Google Doodle, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with, but it's that little Google Doodle. When you type in google.com, it is the little logo that comes up, and it often changes. Sometimes it's like in celebration of a famous person that has passed away, or sometimes it's like a holiday theme. I think it does change every day. And today we are going to learn how to create our own Google Doodle using code and animation. I have your little worksheets out for you, and there is a word bank that I'm going to have you guys fill in. Your 6 words are code, sequencing, sprites, events, loops, and scratch. So how many of you guys have coded before? Barb has. Barb, what have you done for coding?
The EV3 and the We Do robots.
Yeah, so Barb has done the robots, and the EV3 robots, and what was the other? The We Do. And those are projects that we do with the 4-H kids. They really enjoy it. They're just little guys, so it's fun to see them discover and code together. So this coding service is going to be pretty similar to what you do with that. This example of coding is on a program called Scratch. So that's one of your vocab words. Scratch is just the program that you use to create the code and animation. And for the definition for coding, I would just put group of blocks together to make something happen. I was going to say event, but that's another one of your words. So I guess for event, I would make sure to put an event is when something happens because of code. So in this activity, we are going to learn about sequencing and loops. When you do sequencing, you are creating a group of events that eventually creates an animation. So the building blocks of the code create a sequence. Does that make sense? Okay. If you have any questions, let me know. And I'll show you an example of a loop in my presentation of my logo that I made. I'll let Barb finish reading. You're okay. So I made a logo earlier today, and for this lesson I'm going to have you guys copy the one that I made, and then you're going to make your own, and then you're going to show us it at the end. So it's going to be fun. First, I will show you mine. So this is the Scratch program on the Google website. Right here is the animation that I made. It's got a regular outdoorsy background. You can see how it says the word Google. I changed this O to an owl, and I changed this E to a watermelon. Water lemon. You can change them to whatever you want them to be. They do not have to be an owl or a watermelon. For this example they do, though, because I want you guys to make the same one that I did. But when you go through and make your own, they can be anything. So this is the whole Scratch program. This is your animation. This is where you're going to do your coding on this Scratch pad, I call it. I don't know what the technical name for it is, but Scratch pad. And here are your codes. So you have different categories of codes. We'll be using the motion, the looks, the events, and control to create our code today. And when you create your code, you just click on one of these blocks and you drag it to the Scratch pad. And the codes that I planned for you guys are really simple. They're like 2 and 3 and 4. Like, they're really small. But sometimes code can be really complicated, and sometimes it can be pretty easy because you set in a loop. And a loop is just a repetition of a code, and you can write that. It's also a repetition of a sequence, so maybe you could put those together. So I'm going to show you what happens when I push go on my animation. The owl bounces up and down, and the watermelon twists, and then the Google is supposed to say hi when I click it. It says happy spring. So I'm going to have you guys do that, and we can follow along. We can start by choosing a background. When you choose a background on your, actually, to get started, you're on this page, right? Still on this page? Okay, to get started, you need to hit Starter Project, and it will take you to the Scratch page. Slowly. So here you have a blank design that has the Google logo on it still. So I'm going to first have you guys pick out a background. In order to do that, click this button right here with the little background picture on it. When you click it, it will say choose a backdrop. So just click it and it'll take you to the backdrop options. So when you do your design, you can click any one of these you want. There's unlimited. You can even add your own at the bottom if you want to. But I went with this blue sky just because it was easiest to see. So click the blue sky one. Then the next step is to click a sprite. So sprite is one of your words. Sprite is one of the little animated features that are on the Google, that are on the Scratch. So my sprites were the owl and the watermelon. These letters are also known as sprites, and the sprite menu is down here. And so each one of these is their own sprites. And when you add your animation, you can just click on one of the sprites and it'll bring you up the pad for the G. And you can tell it's the G because right here it shows the little picture of it. So that's just how you start that when you want to animate. But we'll start by choosing the sprites first. So we will start with the O. I had that owl on there. To choose a sprite, you click this blue button right here that has a little cat on it. I think it's a cat, maybe it's a bear. And it will bring up the sprite menu of all the different sprites. And actually I kind of messed up already because it's not on the sprite menu, so go back. But this is how you get to the sprites for future. To change the O, you're going to want to go to this costume button right here. Because when you do a Google logo, you want the letters, even though they're not an O, you want them to kind of look like an O. So you want them to be kind of a round shape. So if you scroll down on this side, there is an owl eventually. So just keep going until you find the owl and click on it. And now your O is an owl. Everybody good? Am I going too fast, Barb?
No.
Adrian?
I got it.
Good? Okay. So you have a cute little owl now. Next we will change the E to a watermelon. So Adrian, can you tell us how to do that?
By clicking on the E.
Uh-huh.
And then
On the sprite menu?
Yeah, on the sprite menu.
Mm-hmm.
And then going to the costumes and scrolling down until you get to the watermelon.
Yep.
And clicking on it.
Exactly. So now you have an owl and a watermelon, just like in my example. Pretty easy, right? So far. just wait until we get to the coding. Okay, so now we are going to go into the coding part of this lesson. The coding is where you make the animations do their animations. Where you make the sprites do their animations. So we're going to start out with this G. Once you click on the G, it will say hello. So this one says happy spring once you click on it. The way that I do my code is that I start out with an events tab clicked, and I pull one of the blocks from the event tab. Typically I like to use this when the go button is clicked, but you can also use any of these options. When the sprite is clicked is actually what I chose. But you can also do when the space bar is clicked, or maybe when the mouse is clicked. So I just drug this block out from the code bar onto the scratch pad, and it says when the sprite is clicked, it will say happy spring. When you drag it out, it usually says hello, so we actually changed that to say happy spring, and we changed it to 10 seconds instead of 2 seconds, so you can see it a little bit longer. So now when you click on the G, it says happy spring. Everybody got that?
Yes.
Good. Excellent students. So after that, we will do the owl. So you click on the owl sprite in the sprite menu. And I actually did all the code on this already, so we've got that as a reference. For this one, I clicked when the go button is clicked. So I drug that event block out, place that in the scratch pad, and then you guys can create your code first and then put the repeat brackets around it. I find that's a little bit easier so I can remember what I'm doing myself. So I will start with the motion code on the owl. I have selected change Y to 20. Why would we do change Y instead of change X? Adrian?
So that it moves up and not sideways.
That's right. So I chose Y because I wanted it to move up and down. But if I wanted it to move side to side, I would choose change X. So I drug out this change Y block. And it originally says change Y by 10. So if we just had the change Y by 10, it will actually just go up. And it doesn't go down like we want it to. So in order to make it go down, I will drag out another change Y by block, but I will make it negative 10 so it goes down. I'll click that a few times so you can see what it does. So now I'm going to snap these guys together and click on it, and it doesn't do anything. So in order to make it jump up and down, we need to add a wait block on it, and that is in the control panel. So the wait block just makes it wait to do its command. So I will drag the wait in between each one, but these waits are 1 second, and that is actually a really long time if you think about it. So we're going to change it to 0.1 seconds. 0.1. Change both of them to 0.1. So now when I click on it, it will jump up and down 1 time. But I want it to jump up and down more than once, so I'm going to grab these repeat brackets, and I'm going to stick the repeat brackets around it. And so now this one says 10, but I want it to go 20 times. So I'm going to change the 10 to a 20, and then I will drag it onto the when the go button is clicked event block. So now if I click on it, it jumps up and down. How cute is that?
Very cute.
Very cute. Alright, so our next one, I'll get rid of this double code here. Our next one is the watermelon. And we want this guy to spin. So when we hit go, it will spin. I already have the code out again. But we will start with this motion block that is turn right 15 degrees. So when we click on that one, it turns right, but it doesn't turn all the way around. It just turns 15 degrees. So we actually want to put some repeat brackets around this turn to make it repeat and spin all the way around. So we're going to grab this repeat bracket, and this one actually is only 10 repeats. So let's click on it and see what it does. It only turns halfway around, but we want it to turn the full amount, so let's make it 100 repeats. And then it spins around and around and around, and it doesn't stop right side up. So how do we make it do that? We have to pull a motion tab out, and this point in direction tab, we'll click that on to the bottom. And now when we click this code, it will end right side up and back to where it normally goes. So I will use the when go is clicked on this guy as well. Like I said, you guys can change it to when the space bar is clicked, or you can change it to when the sprite is clicked, but I like to do the go button just because I can bring it up and it'll just start right away, so I don't have to wait or click on anything. So I'm going to hit go, and these guys are jumping and the watermelon's spinning, and then I'll click on my G and it says happy spring, and that is my animation. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, well, I will show you a little bit of what you can do on your own if you ever need to teach this in the future. Go back to that beginning Google page. There is a short video explaining what Google, what the Scratch program does and why Google has made this program for kids. They talk about the Google Doodlers, the people whose job it is to create these Google logos. And if you scroll down a little bit, there is also little short videos on how to animate things differently. So you can change the costume, you can make it dance, you can change the scene, the background. There's a ton of things you can do on it. The limits are endless. And yeah, do you guys have any questions? I'll let you guys get started on your own now, if you don't have any questions. Okay, well, I will let you get started, and we will go from there. Cut. Beautiful.
Thanks, Kim.
I don't know.
I don't have my thingy.
Let's see your Google Doodle. I don't know what to do here.
Can
Oh.
you see it?
Yeah. Oh, it's bananas.
Yeah.
It really is bananas. Oh, funny. What does it say? This is bananas.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
Very nice.
Why are my O's going forever?
Very good. Okay,
Everything
Barb,
else
let's
stopped.
see yours.
Do I have to hold it up for your?
Do you want to put it on the screen? Or do you want to
I
hold it?
don't know how you do any of that.
Well, we can just plug your computer into the screen.
It's not that impressive. But
Okay. Well, bring it over here then.
I'm plugged in, aren't I?
Probably.
Bless you.
Thank you. Okay, so hit play, Barb. Let's see what it does.
Where did it go?
Right there. Very nice.
You ready for me?